So, Afghanistan Update 4.0. Think Joe Biden couldn't do any more damage? Well, think again. The Taliban had a huge and enormous military parade with all US equipment. They even had helicopters, planes, and they also had tanks, guns, military equipment, etc. Also, the US military left the dogs behind, so they were just using their dogs for years and then decided to abandon them, and the Taliban got them. And we have many other things like US citizens being stranded behind, which the White House has vigorously denied, but they've kind of been caught out. Most news stations aren't really covering that information, funny enough though, but yeah, they have been called out for some things, and they aren't really happy about it. And the lies that all politicians like Biden, Obama, and Bush have made have come out now, so it's just totally incorrect. So first things first is we will be taking a look at the parade. So on Wednesday, the Taliban showed off dozens of American-made armoured vehicles along with newly seized weapons at victory celebrations in the southern Afghan city of Kandahar. So this time it was not in Kabul. So as you can see in the photos here, they have, like tanks and equipment, and they're in US equipment as well. There's also a story of stranded Americans that were left behind and denied access back to the US, which is apparently a human right now, by the Biden administration. Apparently they've seen people going towards them in US military uniform and thought that they were US troops, but it turns out they're actually the Taliban in the US military clothing. So I can imagine how that would feel if I were in that position. And the Taliban have also posted this on all the social media sites to just basically mock the Biden administration. Funny how the Taliban is still able to operate on Instagram and everywhere when Trump is blocked and banned from all those sites. So this has been a huge celebration and breakthrough for the Taliban, and as you can see, they're extremely happy and proud to show off the celebrations with the rest of the world. As you can see, Taliban members waved white Taliban flags from Humvees and armoured SUVs vehicles at the military parades. And one funny thing you can see is many of these vehicles appear to be in perfect condition, except one of them we see there's like a little bit of red paint on the back, but that's not really damaged. They also organised a small air display with a recently seized Black Hawk helicopter flying past and above the military parade down a road, and it also featured a white Taliban flag on the back of it, which was kind of trailing behind. There's also footage of Taliban militants going through a US hangar that was housing a helicopter in it. Apparently the helicopter was a CH-46C Knight helicopter that was parked inside the hangar, but we're not too sure. And the Taliban's also very happy to show photos of them sitting in cockpits of planes and helicopters that once belonged to, mainly and primarily the US Air Force, but also the Afghan Air Force, which the Taliban has now taken over. Meanwhile, all this madness, Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby, not John Kerry, Kirby, said he wasn't overly concerned about these images of Taliban fighters examining the old abandoned aircraft. So examining, they're just examining. They're just checking out what is there. They're totally not using it and going to plan more attacks. They're just examining. And he also, stupidly said, they can inspect all they want. They can look at them, they can walk around, but they can't fly them. They can't operate them. Yes, they can. They know people who can operate them. They can learn how to operate them, even if they didn't know how to operate them. And most importantly, they do know how to operate them. That's the thing. Lots of them may be living in caves, but there's also a few who are smart or have access to smart people and or other things. Like, the US has abandoned doctors, engineers, everyone who went there to help Afghanistan citizens, and they've abandoned them. So they can just use them now. And apparently there's only a few fire trucks and forklifts operational, and every single helicopter and aircraft are unusable. That's what they were saying. That is another total lie. I don't know why they bother with these lies. I just think no one really checks them, so that's really it. And I'm not too happy because Qatar Airways is my favourite airline, and Qatar is helping out the Taliban a lot, and a lot of the Taliban are based in Qatar. So it seems like efforts to reopen Kabul airport have been ongoing and are continuing to be ongoing as Qatari technical experts arrived at Kabul's capital. As Qatari technical experts arrived at Kabul. So there you go. You have pilots, you have IT, you have engineers, you have military people, you have government experts, you have the whole lot of things. So they've got basically every single person from every field that they want now. They can just get everyone. The Taliban governor, as such, also had a so-called speech at their Kandahar province where he was addressing the things, and they are in the process of setting up a new government, which it seems like the Taliban governor will kind of be leading. They're a bit more united, kind of how Kim Il-sung came to power after the Soviets took over North Korea. So it'll kind of be like the same thing, except there's kind of no election process as such. Yes, the first bit was kind of democratic until they took over. And apparently the Biden administration is saying that it doesn't matter that the Americans stranded, and diplomacy will resolve that. So, one, that's untrue, and two, they're most likely going to give them, either one of the following, or all of the following, or a few of the following. So, more international recognition, then also aid, like money, weapons, and just helping them out and things like that. There also could be some behind closed doors things. They could be doing illegal trades, which wouldn't surprise me. It has happened multiple times in history, even about 30 years ago it's happened. And if one of the best and most competent presidents, or Ronald Reagan was able to do it, then I'm sure Biden would do that. Probably no one really cares. Apparently Afghanistan's economy is going down. It was already down, so it's not really going much more down. But of course, people kind of operate and trade is more limited than it was before. Even before all this, Afghanistan represented the world's third largest humanitarian concern, with apparently over 19 million people requiring assistance, according to UNICEF. Apparently, commercial flights may be restarting soon, which will allow people to leave the country, but I really personally don't think that the Taliban will allow that, but I haven't really taken a look into that exactly. Already more than 123,000 people were evacuated by American and coalition forces since August the 14th. With regards to all the military equipment, so they left planes, they left the tanks, which I've already covered in some of my other videos. And there's also been widespread outrage, fully enough, and finally once people are actually taking action against the right thing instead of going to other issues that are not so important. But yeah, the US military just abandoned the dogs. They use them for what they want. They, even as some disgusted army, some military commanders and officers said it's just disgusting, and they save their lives. They use them, and many of them were killed or to save people's lives, to save the military's lives. So they just use them, and now they just dump them, really. The Republican Representative Madison Cawthorn shared an image of dog carriers in front of a damaged helicopter, which he claimed was at Hamid Karzai International Airport, which is Kabul's main airport. Even Donald Trump Jr. is posting about not a great day for American service dogs that are still at the airport, and even abandoned hard-working service dogs. The Taliban now have control of them, so they're probably not going to be treated very well. The Biden administration were also questioned about this, but they decided to avoid making a comment, and then when they were kind of forced into a corner to do that, they claimed some of them were because of the contractors had failed to do the thing. Let's just outsource and privatize everything and not have to worry about it. I thought Biden was against that, so socialism for you, but yeah. And yeah, as I said, over 123,000 people were apparently evacuated by American forces. But many people now want more refugees to go in. There's been a large thing for that, and even some people have been asking me why I disagree with that. Well, first of all, think about it. If you have over 38 million people in Afghanistan, are you going to evacuate all those people? No, you cannot do that. You would have to selectively choose them. So, yeah, what are you going to do? Let everyone storm the airport. So you have every single person trying to get to the airport. And then, of course, there's going to be another suicide bombing by either the Taliban or ISIS. So ISIS is like the extreme. Then you've got the US and you've got like the Taliban. Not in between, but, well, they are in between, but of course you've got one that's moderate, and then one extremist, and then one ultra-extremist group. So that just wouldn't work, and then you have to choose people. So, yeah, we're going to choose 0.1% of the population to go, and at the rate they've been doing, there was no women or children or anyone, or elderly people or disabled people, it was just all men. So people are saying, oh, well, they don't have an opportunity and all this. About the other people, well, they weren't really accepted on. And, they could kind of stay behind and fight for their country or protect people, which they're not doing. And, unfortunately, it's not really our fault that Joe Biden mucked it up. You can't move everyone from every country. So if one country is an issue, we can't take everyone from Africa and move them to Australia, and then say Australia's not good enough, and move them all to America, and then move everyone to one country in the world. It doesn't work like that. Even people are suggesting we should open more quarantine for them in Australia and give them free permanent housing, their own house and everything. Well, that doesn't really work. We have COVID existing. We obviously would have built more quarantine facilities if we could. We're not saying, oh, we're only gonna, we could have 10,000 quarantine facilities, but we're only gonna open 100. No, it's just, there's a reason for how it is, so they kind of can't do that. And yeah, it's absolutely pathetic, in my opinion and many other people's opinions, how the US took Afghanistan refugees before their own citizens and taxpayers and even service dogs and other people. Yeah, we're not magicians. We're not capable of doing all of those things. Also with donations, a lot of people are asking for some. Even the flight sim deck was, and he kind of got aggressive at me when I was just asking for evidence and how and why. He's taking it to a refugee shelter. So I'm just really quickly going to say, because some people were considering donating, they get housing and things like that. They are well cared for, like the wide majority of them. And they were asking for things like prayer rugs. If I'd evacuated and was the 0.1% of people who were evacuated from a very violent Taliban group, I think I'd be more than happy to have free housing, food, accommodation, the whole lot, and maybe miss out my prayer rug or being able to pray on the floor or whatever. So that's not really an essential, and there's kind of better ways to help people with that. Many of them are scams, and they show little evidence. They'll just show like a few people. Like even an orangutan jungle school in Borneo gives more proof and is less pushy than helping Afghanistan refugees, so it's not really set up well. And yeah, like I said, the flight sim deck, he just got kind of triggered with the donations. And yeah, apparently, according to, I think it was UNICEF said it, they all have the right to leave the country. So yeah, they can just leave, and they should be able to leave for freely and not have to pay for it. So yeah, if I want to leave my country, I should be able to go to the US during COVID and have a free airline ticket. Kind of doesn't work like that. And to all the people saying, why don't we do more, I kind of ask, why don't you take care of them? Why don't you house them? We already have thousands of people dying from COVID, and then other people unable to get food, and elderly people unable to do that, and have food and heating and things like that in a low middle class. But yeah, like I've already said, it's just pathetic how they did it. I agree with the withdrawal, and they shouldn't be there. But like Donald Trump said, he was exactly right, to be honest. Take out all the civilians and the people you have there, then bomb the heck out of all the air bases and everything and make all your equipment unusable, or you can make sure the Afghan army have it and it's in their secure hands, but they're kind of useless anyways. And then you leave, but Biden did the opposite and left everyone there and just decided to leave and just do it quickly and look the other way. But yeah, that's really all.